John, here we go for the next set of 4 teams here on our futures picks. The last ones, I feel good about them. I feel good about them. How do you feel?
I think it was a great show. So last week we did Arizona, Atlanta, Baltimore, and Buffalo, and I think we had a good discussion about that. You know what I forgot to do though? I want to get your let's rank at the end of the show. We'll do it again today, but I want to rank the way you think they're going to finish at the end of the season. From last week. So I reckon Baltimore is going to finish the highest of those 4.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think Falcons I have over Buffalo.
I can't do it.
Oh, okay.
I can't do it.
That's what I wanted to know.
I can't do it. Well, yeah. So, I think it's a toss-up. I think those two teams are going to finish with a very similar record. But for the sake of the Bills Mafia and my love for Buffalo, let's go Buffalo. Buffalo.
And then
Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay.
And Arizona's 4th. Yeah. That's going to be a struggle bus for that team. But I think they're going to be exciting. I think that's out of those 4 teams, they're definitely the weakest.
I think they'll be improved. But yeah, anyway, so go back and listen to that show if you haven't, because that was a great show.
Yeah. And while you're at it, like and subscribe to the YouTube. This is going to be a long year, and we want you to follow along for the whole thing.
It's a free way that really helps us out. On today's show, I'm probably going to have a Super Bowl ticket on one of these 4 teams.
Oh God, I already know which one it is.
Run through them. No, but which one? So who are the 4 we're talking today?
We're talking about the Carolina Panthers. We're talking about the Chicago Bears. We're talking about my Cincinnati Bengals, and then we're talking about the Cleveland Browns, the lowly Browns.
Well, we'll get to them 4th, but I think the Cleveland Browns are a sneaky chance to win the Super Bowl this season.
You're putting a ticket on the Cleveland Browns?
I think so. Last year I was on the Baltimore Ravens. Just fell short.
Yeah, that's understandable. The Baltimore Ravens have always been a fantastic, and they looked great going into last year. The Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, man. If Deshaun Watson can put it all together, these receivers they've added Jerry Judy. Okay, we'll talk about.
Okay. Well, yeah. This is and this is at the very end of the show too. So you've piqued my interest. You're going to keep me excited all the way into the very end right now.
Yeah, good.
Okay, let's start with the Carolina Panthers. John, what do you think the Carolina Panthers did right last year?
Look, defensively they were good, and then. This is what's going to make talking about
no sense. Yeah, it's going to make no sense.
So difficult because they've lost Brian Burns. They sent him to the Giants. And then I'm just bringing up the team on our lads. Now, the other one, they lost Jeremy Chin. And so, a team that's trying to go from the worst up and you're trading away your best players. I don't know what the plan is for Carolina here.
Here's what the plan is. The plan is they know they're going to get scored on. Just belligerently going to get scored on.
Yep.
Through the air. And those are going to be a lot of high flying games. I think they're going to be a very exciting team to watch. I think the pickup of Lletget, that's a great pickup. And Jonathan Brooks. That team's they're young, they're exciting. I think a lot of people have them. Sorry,
I think they had a bad draft. I don't know that. So they added Deontay Johnson as well. I'm not
which is great.
Xavier Lletget guy. I would have probably taken Keon Coleman over him. And we talked about Keon Coleman last week. I'm not a big Keon Coleman guy either.
Yeah.
Jonathan Brooks, I do like. He wasn't my RB1, which was Trey Benson, but he was my RB2. So it's fine.
It's a great spot. I think it's an awesome spot for him.
And then and Sanders. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Sanders. Yeah. That he did fall, but you know what? To be honest with you, that's a good pickup too.
Yeah.
But truth be told, I liked Lletget over a lot of the receivers in the class. Especially over Keon Coleman. Like I said, I felt like Keon Coleman, that last year, it was a lot of lazy football. You didn't see that out of Lletget. And then, Lletget just looked fantastic. And I think big body, big boy, possession type receiver. It's going to be safety, like a blanket for Bryce Young when he's running for his life.
Yeah.
Which he'll be running for his life often.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
Ikwanu had
it'll
a
be
pretty
exciting.
down season last year as well. And I don't know how much they've done to improve the offensive line. So, I mean, from a betting perspective last year, they started very slow. I think people thought that they were going to be better. I think people thought Bryce Young was going to be better. They didn't actually cover the spread until week 8.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful. They were terrible.
They were terrible. They lost their first 6 games, and then they finally beat Houston. Then they go on to lose another 6 games. They so they covered the spread 6 times last season, and they went over the implied total 5 times. One of which was a 47 one, but that was against Miami, so that makes sense. So they weren't scoring a lot. They were actually not too hard to run on as well. Similar to Arizona, a lot of running backs were having success against them, and quarterbacks really struggled. Like I said, defensively, this was the best team against opposing quarterbacks last season. If you bet quarterback,
they were treacherous.
The only quarterback who went over their total was Geno Smith in week 3. And his line was 250.5. And that was that Andy Dalton game, if you remember. Actually, Bryce Young wasn't even playing in that game. That was an absolute shootout. Other than that, every other quarterback for the entire season went under.
Would you say it's fair to assess that this year, I think it will be flipped? I honestly think the defense will be stronger suited against the run this year, and I think they're going to get scorched.
So let's talk about their defensive line then. So they have Shaq Thompson's still there. I think they added Ashawn Robinson. There's not a lot of names there. Jaycee Jewell from Denver, and then Wanham from Minnesota. I'm not sure that there's enough there to really say that it's hugely improved.
It's definitely improved. It is definitely improved.
Do you think? Yeah,
you can't tell me that got worse.
Jadeveon Clowney's on there now.
Did he get moved to the Panthers?
Yeah,
that's exciting. That's very exciting. See,
and
there you go.
Under linebacker. So Shaq Thompson's still there. He was good. And then their corners are good. Jaycee Horn is a fantastic football player. Dane Jackson was not too bad as well. I do worry about the offensive line. So I talked about Ike Ekwonu already. They've added Damian Lewis from Seattle. He's good left guard, but he is getting very old now. Robert Hunt was pretty good as well. Austin Corbett at center. They've got some good names there. And then there's the weapons.
Which are great weapons. Hey, you cannot fault them for doing what they did. They completely changed around their offense. Like last year, Adam Thielen was really the only weapon.
Yes, well, that's true. And Thielen was fantastic to bet on. He
had to be.
Yeah, he was blowing out expectation time and time again. I'm having a look at his lines last season. For the first 4 games, his lines were 35.5, and he was smashing them. Went up to 50.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
He was still going over. Eventually, he got to over 5.5 catches, so 6 catches a game, and he was doing pretty well. It wasn't until the second half of the season that he really started to fall off, but he was great to bet on as far as a team who was awful to have to ever think about.
Yeah, you couldn't trust Bryce Young's props at all last year.
No.
No, there may be a couple games with his rushing total going over, but
I did
not trust him.
Yeah, he really struggled. His lines were around 179.5, and he couldn't even get them. He got that one time in the last 5 games.
Yeah, this changes this year. So, I was prepping up to this show. I was looking at the team, and I was trying to figure out, what the hell am I going to pick?
Yeah.
There's not a ton that I feel super confident in. I do like Jonathan Brooks, and I like his. Okay. They basically have him averaging two completions a game.
Yeah.
I like his reception total going over. If you could find it somewhere, it's going to be a deep down prop. But I actually think that Bryce Young will be throwing the ball a lot more. They're going to have to. And
Well,
uh,
can we
yeah,
just talk
I think
about
his
that?
yardage total will go over.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second because
Sure.
that stood out to me last season. His line was sitting around 31 and a half passing attempts. It was 35 and a half at the start of the season,
Mm-hmm.
and he was going over those. So they were
Mm-hmm.
asking him to throw the ball a ton, especially at the end of the season when they were obviously trying to figure out, who is Bryce Young? What have they got in this guy? So his passing attempts were going over. His passing completions were going under 21 and a half. Could only hit that
They're
once over the last 7 weeks.
very miserable
Receivers couldn't catch the
separation.
ball.
The
Yeah.
receivers were awful.
Yep.
And it almost seems hilarious that you're looking that's a stat that you're trying to increase.
Mm.
And obviously you bring in some players, the possession receiver
Yeah.
in Lletget with sure hands. But Deontay Johnson, his entire career has been knocked for his drops.
Yes. I know. That's why it was such an interesting addition.
However, if you look deeper into Deontay Johnson's film, yes, he has struggled from the drops at times, but almost every game, the guy's a surefire for 7 damn completions. Like he,
Mm.
in clutch times, makes very clutch catches, and a lot of those come on third down.
Right.
So if you start looking at those stats and you start going, okay, well, you've got a really good third down receiver
Yeah.
who can get separation quickly. He's great for the slants, great for the curl routes, comebacks, quick outs. I think you've got a good safety net on third down when you're third, and they're going to be facing 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 quite a bit, I think,
Mhm.
this season. And I think that's a great receiver. That is a great receiver for that yardage that you're trying to make up. So, you take your shots. You take your shots on first, second down with Lletget, and you try and run the crap out of the ball if you can. Division's
Yeah.
really
I mean,
tough.
the thing about Xavier Lletget is he just for the Gamecocks last season, this is a guy who had 5 seasons in college and he sprouted right at the very end.
It all clicked
Maybe,
though. You saw it click, like it clicked.
yeah, but was that like how much of that was Spencer Rattler is my thing. I think
No,
because
it
Spencer
was not
Rattler
a flash in the. I think
was good.
Rattler unlocked that potential, and he just
Yeah.
got bigger and faster. He just got bigger and faster, and
Well,
yeah,
he sort
he's
of
standing
became the
out.
guy.
Sorry.
It sort of felt like more he just sort of became the guy by default there for the Gamecocks. I mean,
Sometimes you need that confidence to get
yeah,
to that next level, and you saw him hit the next level. I feel very confident in him. I know you don't, but I
yeah,
really do feel confident in him.
yeah. I will say the South Carolina had a really tough schedule last season, and so of course it was always going to be difficult for them to overcome that. So he did play against some decent NFL corners as well. So we'll see. Other receivers, so they retain Adam Thielen is still there. So we talked about they added Deontay Johnson and Terrace Marshall still kicking around and Jonathan Mingo. I think they probably want Mingo to at least start taking some sort of step forward.
Do you think
Because
Marshall gets dealt?
yeah, I think so. He just hasn't panned out the way they wanted their LSU receivers to. There was like at a time where there was Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Terrace Marshall. It was sort of like,
In
oh,
the same
Marshall.
conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe Marshall could be the guy as well, and just never happened. They did add Amir Smith Marset, who's been okay on special teams for KC and Minnesota in the past. And then there's a bunch of practice squad guys. There's Mike Strawn, a guy from
Oh,
years and years
good
ago.
old Strachan.
Cam Sims is there. David Moore, longtime Seattle Seahawks player. So, yeah, we'll see what they do there. They also had a Jalen Coker as well. He's a rookie who's come through. He must have been an undrafted rookie, but
That's
he's not too bad.
that's a sleeper. That's a sleeper pick. He's
I think so.
what if
Yep.
I don't think it's this year though.
Yeah. No.
He'll get on the practice squad and he'll get a chance at some point.
Yeah.
I think Terrace Marshall's time is done.
Yeah.
Mingo not panning out exactly how they wanted, but he's one injury away. If the team's humming,
Yeah.
if the team is doing well, which I don't think they're going to do very well, but if they are doing well and somebody goes down,
Yeah.
you're going to be thrust into a pretty prominent role.
See, but this is my issue with their receivers is so they tried Jonathan Mingo. He was like whatever. He was very whatever in college. He played at Ole
I
Miss.
didn't understand the hype. I did not understand the
Yeah.
hype.
But then they go and add Xavier Lletget. Like, isn't that just Jonathan Mingo again?
No, no,
The
it's
way I
not.
see
It
them,
is
I,
not.
I
It
think
is
it is.
definitely not. It's not. No, you're
Okay.
wrong. I you're oh, I don't know. This is one of those like gut feelings that I
Yeah.
have about Xavier, and I I'm going with it. I'm not taking any prop lines for futures for him just because it's so
It
all
never
over the
pans out for
place.
rookie. Yeah.
It never pans out. But I do think it's going to be a very strong year for him.
Yeah.
But I like the Bryce Young totals. I don't know exactly what it is, I, what the line is. I'm gonna go take a quick look.
Take a quick look.
Um,
It'll be interesting to
yeah,
see what comes out because I can tell you that the regular season win total over under for the Carolina Panthers is 5.5.
yeah, that seems right.
It does seem right, doesn't it? So they won
Yeah,
3 games last season. Do we
yeah.
think they're much improved?
I do think they're much improved, but for I think they're much improved to score more points, not to win games.
Yeah, that's
Um,
feel as well.
3,461 yards is what the sleeper has him predicted for the season. I like it.
3,100.
I like it. I honestly don't think that like I think he'll eclipse it by a
Mm,
good
See,
few
but that's
hundred.
where I'd rather bet over 5.5 wins than that. Because if they get to
Yeah.
6 wins, it's because he's throwing the ball a ton.
I just think that they're just going to be closer to
Good
keeping the
line.
games from being 30 to 13 and more 30 to 21, 30 to 27, those types of games against them. I just can't see them winning more games. I got them in my mind about 5 games, winning 5 games. But,
Yeah.
you know, um,
Interesting.
yeah,
The running back situation will be interesting as well because they paid Miles Sanders a lot of money last year to
ah,
come over and
he
be the
was
guy.
he was
And
he
they
was
gave
not
up.
the good.
Yeah, they
We
gave up on him
knew
very fast.
we knew that he wasn't the guy. I
Yeah.
think you knew as well as I did coming into the season that they made a mistake.
Of course. And you could see it in the prop lines as well. So Miles Sanders, at the start of the season, he was getting 70.5 rushing yards. Now, this is a guy who went over his prop lines 3 times all season. And that's because one of the prop lines was 15.5 in week.
Well, even in Philadelphia, he
Yeah,
wasn't going over his prop lines
dude,
at
even at
all the
Penn
year before.
State, it was the same. It's just, he's always just been a really average running back behind really great running backs like Saquon and whatever. Chuba Hubbard, on the other hand, he was going over his prop lines 50.5, 45.5. He was
They
hitting
were working him
more
like a
than not. Yeah.
horse,
Yeah.
and he looked great. He looked absolutely
Yeah, he
fantastic.
looked all
The,
right.
the crappy part for him is now they've gone and drafted this running back who is a
Yeah.
highly touted running back, and they
Yeah.
they don't have to pay him a lot for a
Yeah.
few years. So,
Yeah. I just wish the Panthers
Hubbard's
had
going to
taken
come
a
up
different
on
pick there.
Hubbard's going to come up on a contract extension, and unfortunately, I think this is a leverage year where they don't run him hard,
Yeah.
and they put him in a situation where he takes less and he'll be worth less, which is the crappy part about the business side of the NFL.
Yeah.
But you just drafted Jonathan Brooks, and I think you maximize the time with the younger running back that has the power, and let him run. You know,
Yeah. I mean, I feel fairly comfortable in saying of the 4 teams we talk about today, this will be the team I think finishes fourth of these teams. So,
yeah, I think you're right, John.
all right. That sounds pretty good. Who's up
So
next?
what's your pick? So what's your pick?
What's my pick? What is my pick?
What's your pick?
For what?
The future
The 3,000
of
good?
is that what you're going over? That's my
No.
pick.
No, I'm
No,
not.
what's yours? Are you taking over 5.5 wins?
Ah, mm, no, I can't.
So what are you taking?
I'd take under 5.5.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's your pick. You're taking under 5.5. Oof,
Yep.
God.
Well, you said
Panthers fans out
5.
there
Like,
shaking. I know it's one of those. It's just so on the nose, right? Like it's. I wish it was 5, and then you could get the push.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I feel a
Exactly.
lot better just taking over 5.
Okay,
But
so they start their schedule with Saints, Chargers, Vegas, and then Cincinnati.
It's awful.
Tough schedule. Yeah, not going to be easy for them.
No, I think you're going to lose all of them.
I don't know, man. They might be Vegas. Vegas is
I actually maybe they might be. Yeah, good coaching. Very good coaching.
Chargers going to be really bad next season as well.
Think so?
Talking about them.
I have mixed feelings about the Chargers this year. Love the coaching situation. Love what they did. They molded anyway. We're not talking about them right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're taking under 5.
Yeah,
I'm taking Bryce Young over 3,600 pass yards.
That's too rich for me. He will be throwing the ball a ton though. So
a ton.
If we can get these lines of like 190 and a half to come out week 1 against the Saints, that's divisional. Maybe I'll skip that one. Week 2 against the Chargers.
Oh yeah, dump him.
110. I'm taking.
Yeah, he's gonna hit 200. Yeah, he's gonna hit 200 in that game.
Chargers.
I think he'll come close to 200 in the first one too.
Yeah,
and it depends on how lackluster that team is going to take a little while. A lot of new faces. They're going to take a little while to get settled.
Yeah.
Give him 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But I think you're going to see some games from Bryce Young this year where he's getting 250, 260 yards.
You know what? Actually, I'm thinking about this now. Because week 5 they play Chicago. There's a world they come out 3-2 to start the season after 5.
Potentially.
What if they beat the Saints? They're not going to beat Cincinnati. I don't think.
They will not beat the Saints. Like there is no way.
Divisional, man. There's divisional.
I get it. It's divisional, but that team is so new.
They're
so new.
He really struggles against the Panthers defense.
He struggles against everybody on any given Sunday. The same team that he lights up for 450 yards one game, he'll play them the next game and he'll put up 123 yards.
I'm starting to think over the 5.5 now. There's a world in which they come out 4-1 after the first 5 weeks, and then they only need to win 2 more.
What did you just say? What did you just say?
They play the Giants.
Oh, it's true. They do. Yeah.
What if Philly's not as good as they were last season?
No, Philly can't tell me that they're like
they play Washington.
God. Okay, that's
very winnable games here. I'm going over.
Take the over. He's going over 5.5. He's persuaded. He's persuaded. I'm taking Bryce Young over 3,600 yards. Okay, we got it. I'm glad you flip-flopped on that. I'd rather root for the Panthers than against them.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Good for you. All right, so they play the Bears. And that'll be a really exciting. I think every game that the Bears play this year is going to be exciting just because of the amount of goddamn hype around Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
And he's handling his interviews so well. I've been watching a lot of them.
Yeah.
He is a very smart, well put together man.
The Chicago Bears last season, they ranked 22nd in defensive adjusted weight value. They were just having a look at their offensively, they were 22nd. Defensively, they were 17th. And this was a team that really improved over the back half of the season as well defensively. They started playing a lot more games, sort of a lot more competitively. In fact, they lost to Green Bay week 18 and Cleveland week 15, but they were 4-2 over the back half.
They were on fire on the back half. Justin Fields was playing lights out football.
Yeah, he was great to bet
on. Such a shame. Such a shame that he's gone. But you know what?
Yeah, he was one of our darlings,
he'll have a good. Yeah, he'll have a good career in Pittsburgh.
Always such good value. His lines were always around 178.5, 195. Do you remember the start of the season? Season, first 5-6 weeks, we were betting on him like crazy because his lines were 185.5, and he was smashing past them.
Smashing them. Yeah, and DJ Moore. DJ Moore was like 44 yards the one game, and he doubled it in the first half.
Oh, and the books would never increase it. They were too scared to, and he just kept going past them. Other than that Kansas City game where they got absolutely blown out, they were smashing it. They were a great team to bet on.
They were.
If you believed in them as well. So check this out. I mean, after the first 4 weeks, so they weren't very good the first 4 weeks, but then basically from week 5 onwards, they covered the spread. What was this, like 10 times? Most of their games, not all of their games were going over, but they did improve defensively. We'll talk about some of their additions and what was working really well. Jalen Johnson became an absolute stud corner. He was like playing, I think he was like the top 1 or 2 corners in the league. He was shutting down everybody. So they gave him a really nice contract extension as well. So
he is a rich man.
Yeah.
He's a rich
man. He
man.
came out of nowhere. He was nothing in 2022, and he played really.
That was a great year.
Yeah,
that was a great year. Yeah, and so obviously from the defensive side, they made a couple really nice additions and addition by locking up their players and giving them comfort.
Yeah.
But the offensive side had the biggest movement, starting with the departure of Justin Fields, their quarterback, and bringing in Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick. So aside from that, they brought in everybody's new. Except for a tight one tight end and DJ Moore, right? Like their weapons have
fantasy last
changed.
year before the season. I was selling Justin Fields anywhere I could because people had him as like a top 5 fantasy option in Dynasty, and I just didn't see it, man. Because for me, it was like if you're betting on Justin Fields, you're betting on the Chicago Bears, and I didn't think that they were going to win too many games. And sure enough, I mean, they got bailed out by the Carolina pick, but I think it was a good move to move on from him as well. So they in the draft, they added Caleb Williams, obviously with the first pick. They added Rome Odunze with the 9th pick.
Stud.
Then they actually didn't have too many picks. They only ended up with, because they kept trading them for.
They kept trading them.
They added Montez Sweat, and people thought that was a bad trade. That turned out to be a very good trade. Yeah,
very good trade,
really well, and he really boosted that Bears defense. They added
DeAndre Swift.
I got to shout out my Australian compadre counterpart, Tory Taylor. They drafted with their final pick in the 4th round as well. He's a fantastic punter from Australia, so I'm excited to see him join the league as well.
He's going to be punting. even though Caleb Williams came out and said, you're not going to be punting.
Yeah. After they drafted him, Caleb messaged him and said, like, glad you're on the team, but you're not going to be punting very much. So good, man. I love Caleb Williams. He's so good. So let's talk about some of these additions. You want to start at receiver or running back?
Well, let's go with the aged veteran, the sure hands 11+ targets a game hog, coming from the Chargers, Keenan Allen. Never been a humongous Keenan Allen as a WR1 fan.
Really? I love Keenan Allen.
Great receiver. I just always thought as the WR1 is like the guy who's got all the attention. He still managed to catch everything. But he's in a great spot right now. Great spot.
So I don't agree with this take.
Okay.
The reason I don't agree is because he's going from Justin Herbert, top 5 quarterback in the league, to Caleb Williams, who will be good one day, but rookies come out very slow. Doesn't matter.
They're going to struggle. Yeah.
The only rookies who never did was CJ Stroud last season, had an all-time season. Justin Herbert was very good. Joe Burrow was good until he tore his ACL. Like it basically never happens. Trevor Lawrence struggled. Trying to think, like Jared Goff didn't get his career going until Detroit. Like these number 1 picks, they take longer than people expect to get going. We don't need to read
definitely
Bryce Young last season.
Don't get me wrong. Keenan Allen's going to finish with substantially less fantasy points than he had with the Chargers.
Yeah.
However, I think he's in a great spot in his career with where he's at in his career, and by mentoring all these receivers, being a guy that's going to be depended on, like very much like an Anquan Bolden when he was in his last few years, really depended on to make those 3rd down catches. A guy that he will not have the attention on him like he did, and you take one less guy covering him. I don't care how old he is. It's the hands and the footwork. Like he'll get open in a phone booth. So, I think touchdown count might go up.
Really? I agree. I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I'm just not sure about production.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to bet on it. I just think, I think they're going to utilize him for a lot of those sure catch situations, and I think it does. If you decide that you want to slip a safety down to watch out for him, then you've got two very, very good wide receivers on the outsides.
That's true.
Very good wide receivers.
I can't remember who was Keenan Allen playing alongside when he first came into the league. Like before they got Mike Williams and he was the guy. I can't remember who their
that's a long time ago. That is a long time ago.
I wish I could remember. I can't. I'm sorry. I'll have to look at it later. What I do love about what you're saying is my comp for Rome Odunze in the pre-draft process was Keenan Allen. And then when they brought in Keenan Allen, I was like, this is perfect for Rome. This is the perfect person to turn into because I think they have exceptional route running ability. They play over the middle of the field and on the outside really well. They're not the fastest, and that's fine, but their hands are so good. Their contested catch is so good. I think that's the perfect person for Rome Odunze. And this is why I drafted him over Malik Neighbors, is for this reason. I think Malik Neighbors is probably going to have a better rookie season, but long term, I think that Rome Odunze is going to be the guy. Eventually, they will move on from DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. He'll have Caleb Williams. He'll be like a fully fledged quarterback, and this will be a good team. And I just love that position that Rome Odunze finds himself.
I agree with that take. Yeah, wholeheartedly. Do I think that he's going to have the season that everybody thinks he is? I think he's going to land a little under where they have him ranked.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a great year. I think it's going to be a great year for him. Honestly, there's a lot of mouths to feed on this team.
Yeah,
and with the addition of DeAndre Swift, where I was watching a couple podcasts. Fantasy podcasts where they were beating up the name of DeAndre Swift for this season and saying they don't think he's going to have the season, a good season. And there's too much competition there with, Herbert and Roschon Johnson.
I agree with that.
There is a lot of competition. But I think they brought him in. They brought him in for the first and second down. And I think they're going to be doing a ton of passing on first and second down, honestly.
Yeah, I think whatever his catching line is, his receptions line, give me the over.
That's what I would take. Give me the over on that. That's what I feel pretty confident about.
I'd be betting under his rushing totals.
His rushing totals, definitely. But the receiving line, I don't know what it is. I want to say it's probably going to be somewhere around 300. I'm going to go look right now.
Have a look. And what I can tell you about their win total for the season is we're going to be looking at 8.5 is their line.
Too high for me. Too rich.
That's high for a rookie quarterback.
That's too high.
That's high.
By the way, Swift is at 271 for receiving yards.
Wow, man. Over. How many?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So 271 divided by 18.
17.
You're 15th. No, by 17, sorry. 281 divided by 17. Yeah. What am I talking about? 15. You're 16 and a half.
Okay, so let's say,
give me the over.
He misses like 3 or 4 games to injury. Like that's still not a bad line. That's like 20 to 25. Okay, now that we're talking it out, it's starting to be a bit more concerning. If he plays, let's say he plays 13 games, that's 20 receiving yards a game. It's interesting.
He's gonna have a couple. He's gonna have a couple games. He's gonna have a couple games where he's in the 30 yard.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I feel good about that. That's what I think. That's my pick.
Yeah, over on passing attempts as well, because I think that they've still got Khalil Herbert. Although I did hear that they did try to move him in the offseason and they were not able to, so they kept Khalil Herbert around, and then they've still got Roschon Johnson, who's
a great running back.
Who's a great running back. Yeah, he had a great season in college behind Bijan Robinson. Oh, sorry, not behind, but like alongside, and. I think
he's turned into quite the third down back. He's turned into quite the third down back. I like him in that spot.
Yeah. So at tight end, still got Cole Kmet. They brought in Gerald Everett. I really love that addition. And I mean, obviously Cole Kmet is probably one of the better tight. Like he's really. I don't think he's worth his contract. His contract's sort of around $40 million from memory that he signed a couple of years ago. But he is still a very, very good tight end.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Yeah, and. It's interesting to see what happens with the relationships with Caleb, right? Like he'll have the players that he looks to early and often.
Yeah.
I think the running back is safe in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't matter your relationship so much as it does your bailout your satellite. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, give me Swift over 270.
it's not a bad line. And then at receiver, so DJ Moore, he's been an amazing addition for them. Ronan Dunze, we just talked about, and Keenan Allen. After that, it's a pretty steep drop off. They've got Dante Pettis still kicking around, and Valus Jones, who they drafted a couple of years ago. Tyler Scott's an interesting deep sleeper as well. He had a pretty good season to finish last year.
Really going to need a couple injuries in order to make that happen, right?
Yeah, one of the things that people are talking about, sort of on various podcasts I listen to, is like, while I say that rookie quarterbacks always take a long time to get off the ground, this is sort of like the first time that we've ever seen a rookie quarterback have 3 legit stud options. Like, if you think about Bryce Young, never had that. CJ Stroud had a good season, but he really unlocked.
Joe Burrow had it.
But that was before. Well, who did he have? He had T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd.
AJ Green was on his last year there, I'm pretty sure, when he arrived.
But I felt like he was past it though. Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin Herbert had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, but like, other than those guys, it's been pretty difficult for most rookie quarterbacks to also, like, obviously a lot of them have had good options, but I mean, Justin Fields was never afforded this luxury that Caleb Williams has.
No, it's
Justin
true.
Fields,
it's true.
Receiver one was like Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, that's true. It was Darnell Mooney. It was Darnell Mooney. Oh,
and Allen Robinson. Jeez.
Oh yeah, that experiment did not
work. So
it did not work.
Yeah, be an interesting team. Offensively, I think they're going to be throwing the ball a ton. So I wonder what Caleb Williams passing.
It's got to be $4 grand. It has to be.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go look.
Which is
right
probably too much. Have a look, because I'm interested in especially these first couple of games. So the first.
No, they got him under. It's 3,800.
Okay, 3,800. Okay, that sounds about right.
That's reasonable. Actually, I like that.
And I'd want to bet the under. And but the only reason is not the talent. It's just like the history. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, no rookie quarterback ever throws that much. So, to start the season, so week 1 they play Tennessee. They play.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game.
It's gonna be a tough game. I think Tennessee's actually done. Their low key defensively could be a lot better. Houston.
And what Will Levis are you gonna get? Right, he could come out and drop 40. I love Will Levis. I love him because he's a Cowboy. Anyway.
Yeah. Week 2 they got Houston. That's going to be a tough game.
That's going to be a tough game.
Then they play Indy and then the Rams.
Also a very tough game and another tough game.
Yeah. I actually don't know about the Rams this season. We'll see. I think they match up well against the Rams. Indy is going to be such a fucking wild card. Once we talk to them, so many different outcomes for them.
If Richardson comes back, and plays the way that he was playing at the start of last season, that team is going to be fucking good.
Yeah. So, I mean, while we're talking about the 8.5 is their season win total, I'm just trying to have a look at a couple of gimmies that they've got. They've got New England, that should be a gimme, and Washington they play. Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Defensively not very good.
No.
It's hard.
Yeah, it'll still be a tight game. It's still gonna be a tight game.
They also play Seattle. I'm interested to talk about Seattle because I'm not sure.
They're god awful this year.
Nah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay. We'll talk about my beloved Seahawks eventually
when we get there.
In a couple of months. So, yeah, I mean, I think that this team is well set up. I just want to have a quick shout out to a few of the defensive players that they added. So they added Tremaine Edmunds. I'm pretty sure halfway through the season last year, didn't they? Or at some point.
He was there by the end of the year. So
yeah, Montez Sweat they added. That was a fantastic one. Kyler Gordon played very well last season. I don't think people were expecting him to play as well as he did. Obviously, I mentioned Jalen Johnson already. He, for me, is probably a top 5 corner in the league. Jaquan Brisker played really well as well. And then they've got pretty good depth as well there. So these corners, I think they're set up well. They brought in Kevin Byard from
great pickup.
He played for Tennessee.
He played for Tennessee, yeah.
Yeah, he sort of dropped off a little bit as well, but I think he might bounce back because he was very good in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, bunch of really, really good players. And then the offensive line is probably, I think it's probably a top 5 line in the league. Like
It's
Darnell
a
Wright
great team.
played really fantastic last season. Nate Davis is good. Tevin Jenkins, Braxton Jones. Like that's a solid line.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? 8.5?
It's right on the money. They got it right. They got it right. Do they finish with a winning record?
I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say
I'm gonna say under.
I'm gonna say that I do not want to touch it.
So okay, they have to play Detroit twice, obviously.
It's gonna be
Minnesota
tough.
is interesting because they could be really bad this year.
They're gonna be
Win
bad. I
twice.
can't see them being good.
And then let's say they win one against Green Bay, they lose one against Green Bay. They've also got to play San Francisco. That's going to be tough. Carolina defensively could be tough depending on how they go. We'll see.
Can in what world can you see them beating San Francisco?
Well, if you recall back to the 2022 season, week 1, when San Francisco came over to play the Bears in Chicago, and Bears won that game. So,
It's in San Fran though, right?
is it? I actually don't know. I should put that in.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is in San Fran.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's tough. I'm staying away from that.
I'm just staying away from it. What's your pick? You got to have one here.
What am I taking for?
Yeah, for your future pick. Yeah, what just take one?
Because the Caleb Williams line is really a lot as well. I would take Keenan Allen probably under whatever his receiving line is.
I don't know what it is. Let's find out.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is tough. This is really tough because it's like, obviously I want Caleb Williams to be fantastic, but just betting against rookie quarterbacks is always such a safe bet.
Where do they have Keenan Allen?
He might not even be up because they're not sure. Do they have Rome there is what I want to know.
Yeah, they do. They have Rome.
What's his line?
His projected, I just passed it. It is, and like, he is 961 yards, 6 receiving touchdowns, 71 receptions.
Yeah.
They have Keenan Allen finishing just ahead of Rome. But they have Matt 933.
Yeah, under for both of them.
Yeah, I would take under on Keenan Allen here at 9.
I definitely take under on Rome.
100%. Mm-hmm.
Like rookie,
he might have 1,000
now than they used to be, but he's got some stiff competition, and he's still a rookie receiver at the end of the day. I would have him for more like 600-700 yards.
And they have DJ Moore at 1,064. Now that's all going to depend on the relationship, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, obviously, no one in their right mind would be betting the overs on all 3 of them. So,
well, but I mean, so take this into consideration. They've got DJ Moore at 1,000. They basically have Keenan Allen at 1,000, and then they have Rome at about 1,000.
Yeah,
that's 3,000 yards. Now, Cole Kmet's probably going to give you 550, 600.
Yep. Yeah, whatever.
So now you're 30. Now you're 36. Now you're 3,600, and now DeAndre Swift is probably going to give you another 300.
Yeah.
So that's technically there's 3,900 if you're going by what they're like.
Yeah.
And then you're not taking into consideration that Roschon Johnson's probably going to give you 180 to 200.
He's not that much of a pass catching back though.
Yeah, I give him 10 a game.
What did he go last year?
He'll be at 9.5 every single game, probably.
His running backs last year was just an absolute shit show because they had Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, Deontay Foreman, and every week
Foreman,
different guy, every single week.
Foreman was the cog in that one.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, his line, Roschon Johnson had a line of 20.5, and he was going over that often. So yeah, you're completely right.
Yeah, so I don't know, like that Caleb Williams line of like 3,800 doesn't seem too far off for me, but I think Keenan Allen will finish around 750. I think Rome will finish around 850, 900.
Yep.
I do think DJ Moore will probably eclipse 1,000,
Yeah, I do.
and then Swift will go. I still think the 3,800 is safe for me. I think 4 grand sounds about right.
Really?
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I get
yeah,
it. I get it.
yeah,
I can't do it.
that's fair. I mean, I'm not taking it. I just like
Yeah.
Swift here. That's it.
Yeah. All right.
Moving on to my Bengals.
Let's do it, man.
Holy crap. Okay,
Interesting team.
so a very interesting team.
Hmm.
Very, very interesting team. This team is going to go up and down with the health of Joe Burrow.
Yes. Well,
It's
having
being a
said that,
Bengals fan has been very difficult
yeah,
over the past few seasons. Like Joe Burrow has not been able to stay healthy.
no, he hasn't. If you
And
could go back, I got a question for you. If you could go back,
yeah.
knowing what we know now,
hmm
would you take Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert?
Yeah.
Knowing their careers and how many games both players have missed. I mean, Herbert's missed hardly any other than the end of last year.
I have faith that Joe Burrow will stay healthy. Will get healthy and stay healthy.
Okay.
They set him up for the biggest failure
Yeah.
with the offensive line the first 2 seasons. And
Yeah.
then they finally made some corrections, and then a fluke friggin' thumb injury happens.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, as long as they can keep him upright and they're not asking him to run the football, he's probably one of the best decision-making quarterbacks in the entire league.
Yeah. That's
So,
fair.
if not the best. So,
There's honestly no wrong answer, in my opinion.
I think they're safe with Joe Burrow there, and
Yeah.
it's just going to come down to his health. If he can stay healthy, the Bengals, sky's the limit for the Bengals. That's they could be an 11-win team, 12-win team, or they could be a 7-win team if he gets injured in the first couple games.
But they figured it last season. Like, even despite the Burrow injury, Jake Browning, he played pretty well. Like, they still managed to keep it going.
They did. That first game when Browning came in and everyone was like, "Oh, we're screwed. We're so screwed." And the kid just lit it up. Yeah, he just lit it up. It was great to watch.
Game like live together at the same time. That was so fun to talk about. It was like, holy shit, Jake Browning's lighting it up.
Lighting it up. Yeah, that was incredible. The team definitely got better. The Bengals definitely got better. The receiving core, the younger guys, a little bit more experienced. They got to play a little bit. The tight ends, well, whatever. Mike Gesicki coming in. He's a key addition. Neither do I. I think they've done this now 3 or 4 years where they've had a veteran join with rookies that have come in.
Yeah.
And I honestly think at this point they just do it for mentorship purpose.
Yeah.
But I can't see another reason. Like Irv Smith last year was just the weirdest pickup.
I had high hopes for Irv Smith. They did draft in the NFL draft Eric All, and there's
he's incredible.
There's a lot of
receiving.
He gets a lot of love in dark places, dark corners of the internet. So,
however, first year for a tight end, very difficult. There's so many assignments that you have to understand on it as an NFL tight end.
Yeah.
So much more than when you're in college.
Yeah.
So much more than when you're in college. It's like quadruple the workload.
Right.
So
it's interesting. So they added Mike Gesicki from New England. They retained Drew Sample and Tanner Hudson. We liked Tanner Hudson for a little bit of last season.
Love Tanner Hudson.
But he kept dropping passes in really crucial moments. So I think the Bengals sort of fell out of love with him.
We're gonna see how it goes this season. I'm interested to see how the training camp goes and how preseason goes.
Yeah.
If Tanner Hudson, I think, has a good preseason, then they're not going to rush Eric All in.
Yep.
And Hudson will get a lot of those pass catching. He'll get the two tight end sets.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was great
to pass catching
last season.
Yeah.
He had a line usually around 20 and a half all season long, and only 4 times did he not go over that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, back half the year.
Yeah, he was good.
And practice squad playing with Jake Browning, right? That was a relationship that they had developed.
Right.
So it was kind of nice to watch that, transfer.
Yep.
I'm really interested to see what happens with the tight end group with the Bengals. Joe Burrow, though, he's a slinger. He's going for the wide receivers more than he is anything else. Yep. And Jamar Chase, it's inevitable. If Joe Burrow is healthy, Jamar Chase might get 2,000 friggin' yards this year. You
So
know, like
I've got really high hopes for Jamar Chase this year. In fantasy, he's my number one receiver. But he he was not good for us last year.
no, he
More than
wasn't.
not, he was going under his lines. Now it's only because his
Hmm.
lines were so freaking high.
Well, same
But
with T. Same with
same with
T.
T. T was also shocking. If you exclusively look for overs to bet, both of these
Mhm.
receivers were really, really bad.
The only one that kept hitting out of the park for me and winning me every single week was Joe Mixon.
Yes.
His receiving.
Yep.
His receiving.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so Jamar had his lines were sitting around 7.5 receptions last season, even down to 5.5 once it was Jake Browning. And he only, from week 9 onwards, he only went over his prop line one time
Hmm.
in week 13. Other than that, he was so shocking to bet on. So love him for fantasy, hate betting on him.
Yeah, I won't. I won't. My pick actually exists with the development of the at the running back position, the Bengals brought in Zach Moss,
Yes, let's talk about
who
this.
who everybody thinks that Zach Moss is going to be the RB1 for this team.
Yep.
He
I
is a
do.
very he's a very versatile player. They're going to
Yep.
give him a lot of opportunity.
Yep.
By the end of the season, this is my take. By the
Yep.
end of the season, the better running back will prevail.
Yep.
And the better running back is Chase Brown.
Yep. I know,
So,
I know you love Chase Brown.
super high on Chase Brown. There's not too many. There's not. I mean, I go all in like on quite a bit of players. I'm a really ballsy fantasy player, but Chase Brown, there is something about the way that he plays that is such Bengals football, and it matches so well with Joe Burrow. And we didn't get to see a ton of that. We didn't get to see a ton of it. It was mostly with Jake Browning,
Yep.
but just the way that he moves in and out of the pocket and like getting loose for Joe Burrow on those quick dumps,
Yep.
like that. Joe Mixon was a great receiving option when Joe Burrow was on the field. I think Chase Brown's going to be a next level receiving option for
Yeah.
when Joe Burrow's on the field.
I just worry that he had that 175-yard reception in that game last season. I can't even remember which one it was. That is just like played on highlight reels when it's just all people ever talk about when they reference Chase Brown. But it's just that one instance of that happening. I know there was like a couple of others, and he was good in the receiving game. To
I
me,
watched a lot. I watched every game, right? So
yeah, but he just kind of reminds me of he's like a glorified CJ Process. Do you remember CJ Process?
oh
For
my
the
God,
Seahawks?
don't even go
Fucking
there. CJ Process
Seahawks
is actually a
legend.
very good running back.
He was
Yeah,
a great running back.
Seahawks
He was a great
legend.
pass catching
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
but he
he was a
never
great
developed.
passer.
He never amounted it to anything. So that's where I
I
kind
can't
of Chase
see
Brown.
this happening that way. I like Chase Brown for the development reasons, but I think by the end of the year, I think they're going to have a hard time taking him off the field.
Yeah,
And Zach Moss is not one of those running backs where you if somebody's outplaying Zach Moss, they're not like he doesn't have the name. He doesn't have the name and the clout to
mm.
warrant staying on the field if somebody's playing better than him.
I don't know, man. I don't know. He was with Jonathan Taylor last season, and holy shit, Zach Moss the
JT
first
wasn't
8
healthy.
weeks of the season, he was insane. Now he wasn't healthy, but they did just give him that huge contract as well. So
Mhm.
I mean, Zach Moss was good. He was playing like a top 10 running.
Why isn't Zach Moss still with the Colts, and why is Jonathan Taylor there on a new contract?
uh, Draft capital, investment, various, reasons. Zach Moss is not a franchise running back.
No, he's not. And neither is Chase Brown. But
Yeah.
but between the two of them, they're going to have a great stable
Yeah.
for when Cincinnati's trying to run up the score, because I don't see them this year. I do not see the Bengals spending a lot of time running the ball this year.
Okay.
I think
Yep.
we're probably going to see game scripts where it's over 50% passing.
Yep.
And yeah, I see games at like Zach Moss with 11 rushes, with Chase Brown with 9 rushes, and Chase Brown with 3 completions, 4 completions, Zach Moss with 2.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? And that's kind of where I feel like that's probably going to average. And I like Chase Brown, his receiving total. It's got to be somewhere around two something, like
Yeah.
200, maybe 190, 200. I'll take it all day long.
Yep. Bengals have a very, very favorable schedule to start the season as well. They open with New England.
Hmm.
You could pencil that in for a win. Then week 2, they play KC. This is going to be in prime time. This is going to be a great matchup.
That'll be a great game.
Then they play Washington.
Yeah,
Should be
beat the
fairly
crap
easy.
out
They
of them.
play Carolina. They do have to
Gonna
play
beat the crap out
Baltimore,
of
of
them.
course, but then they play the
Tough
Giants.
game.
Like
Yeah.
they also have Vegas in there. They've got the Chargers in
Mhm.
there. This is
Mhm.
this is
A
looking
great,
promising.
great schedule for the Bengals. The
Great
opening
schedule.
start of the season. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They did
It's
finish
great. We got to play the
in division
Cowboys.
last season, so obviously, I mean, the division was just fucking so competitive. So
Yeah, also
it's like
losing
all
Burrow
4
didn't
teams should
help.
have gone to the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of feels that way. It's been that way for a few years now,
Yeah,
where
and it
that
has.
division has been the cream of
Yeah,
the crop. But
yeah.
I like the Bengals here. I like them to push Baltimore for the top of the division.
Okay.
Um, I think it's going to be a winning record. I'll
Yeah.
give him a winning record. I think even regardless, if Joe goes out, Browning will still get a few wins. If Joe can make it the first 4 or 5 games without any injuries, then I think we'll end up with a winning record.
Yeah.
But
That's it. Let's talk about
yeah.
these receivers. So we talked
Mhm.
about Jamar Chase. They franchise tag T. Higgins. They're
Yeah, it
still
just seems
currently looking
ugly. It seems like a little
trade
ugly for
him.
me.
I
Yeah,
actually think he might get traded before the season starts.
I do too. They have a lot of faith in the younger receivers that they have.
Yeah. They lost
You
Tyler
know,
Boyd. They've sent him away.
yep.
They drafted Jermaine Burton, who this is a very pro Jermaine Burton podcast, I imagine. I love
Very
Jermaine
pro
Burton.
Jermaine Burton. Yeah, very pro Jermaine
Like his
Burton.
off-field issue.
Gonna be a great season for him as well.
Yeah,
Stepping right into that Tyler Boyd role.
yeah.
Um, yeah, the middle of
I
the
reckon
field is all his.
if they moved on from T. Higgins, he'll just come out flying.
Yep,
They have Charlie Jones and Andre Yoshivis. I know they love both of those guys as
they
well.
do. They really do.
This
And
is a
Yoshi's
really
great.
and Trenton Irwin. I'm not sure what he's doing so high up this depth chart, but our lads generally know. So this is a really good receiving room.
It is. And Chuck Jones, like, don't sleep on him.
Yeah,
You know, he didn't have a lot of opportunities, but he's a field stretcher. And
yeah,
if you can if they move on from T, they move on from T and they move Burton to the outside, and then you have somebody with the speed that can go up the middle. And that
right.
was one thing that Tyler Boyd did so well
Yeah,
for the Bengals. He
yeah,
was great. Like he was great in the trenches. Like he was good. He was good around the line of scrimmage to the 10-yard line, but it was where he really shined or Sean. He
shined.
would he shine Sean.
Yeah, shown.
He would shown he
Sean.
would
No, I don't know.
Sean. Yes, Sean. Yes, I don't.
Yeah,
He would fly up the middle of the field. It'd be seam routes, right? Like
yep,
he had go routes and seam routes in place, fades, and he would burn his backer.
yep,
He'd burn the backer, and then the safeties would be inching towards Jamar Chase and towards T. Higgins, and it leaves a lot of room. Leaves a lot of room. And the amount of times that T. Higgins caught balls for 20 yards plus, it's crazy, you know?
yep, yep. Um,
I could see Charlie Jones slipping into that.
okay. I mean, yeah, I love this receiver room. I think that they're all extremely talented. Not
It's
to
a very
mention
talented team.
offensive line, like you mentioned, has really improved in the last couple of seasons. So they added Alex Kappa last season in the offseason. They brought him over from the Bucks. They have Orlando Brown that they brought over from KC as well. That's interesting.
Great pull.
too.
Great pull.
I don't know a lot about Trent Brown from New England
So
and Cordell
yeah,
Bolson.
I don't know a ton about
Yeah.
him. I just know that the Bengals Nation was very happy when we picked him up. So
Yeah, cool. All right, great.
I haven't watched a lot of film on him. So
Yeah, so I think that that's a much improved offensive line. I think that Gesicki, like you said, there's going to be a lot of blocking tight ends in this. Really love the addition of Eric All as well. So defensively, how are you feeling about the defense? Because they were sort of a bit hit and miss last season.
yeah, they were, but this is a unit. Like
Yeah.
this is it's a unit. This is a well-oiled unit now at this point. A lot of players have been retained. Not a ton of movement. I don't know. There's still a question mark back there. I think at the safety position, they lost.
Um,
Can you tell me who they lost?
yeah, from a betting perspective, quarterbacks were really throwing on them a lot. The only quarterbacks who struggled was who was the Browns quarterback week 18? It wasn't Joe Flacco. It was
Was it
probably Dorian
It wasn't
Thompson.
DTR? Yeah, it was the
Yeah, I
DTR.
imagine. Mahomes had a line of 270 in week 17. He didn't go over that, but that's a really high line. Other than that, all quarterbacks were going over their passing yards for them. Running backs were able to rush on them. The corner one for the Bengals was okay. Corner two was bad, and it looked like a lot of tight ends were getting success as well. So if we have a look at a couple of the names on the defensive side of it, so they're
So who'd they lose?
so they have DJ Turner
Yes.
and Cam Taylor Britt. We know they lost Jesse Bates a couple of years ago.
That was 2 years. Yeah, that was
Almost.
that was the big hit last year. That was the really big hit last year.
Yeah, I think so. I actually am of the view that they should have kept Jesse Bates.
100%. They should have paid him.
Yeah,
But this, like I said, I feel good about Turner. I really
yeah.
do. And Britt's, there's nothing wrong with Britt. There's a lot
Taylor
of
Britt?
talk, a lot of
Yeah.
rumors. Yeah. There's a lot of rumors about the push for Eli Apple to come back home.
I like Eli.
I actually don't mind it,
Eli
for the
Apple,
fit.
Dax Hill, like
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
into
mind it. I don't mind it. So I do think that the team will get that last safety position sorted out.
I must be seeing shit. At free safety here, they've got Von Bell listed.
No, that doesn't make sense.
He's listed number one on the depth chart.
So it
And
depends
this
on
is
their
up to
scheme
date.
it depends on their scheme, I think, right? Because if you
Yeah,
have one high safety, then maybe that's the additional backer for the
interesting.
one high safety look. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Logan Wilson was a good middle linebacker last
Oh,
season.
Logan Wilson's a stud.
Yeah, Jermaine Pratt as well had a good season.
Also a stud.
They're okay. Sheldon Rankins they've brought over as well. Trey Hendrickson on the D line. BJ Hill as well from the Giants come over, and Sam Hubbard. Sam
Huge,
Hubbard's been good
big
for the
boy.
Giants, so,
Hubbard's
yeah.
a stud. Did is
A couple of names they drafted. Chris Jenkins, they drafted, I think, in the second round with the 24th picks, or no, that's not correct. But Chris Jenkins had a good college season. Josh Newton as well. Oh, they drafted Amarius Mims as well at right tackle. That's going to be interesting because
Yeah, and they've got Hendrickson still there too, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah, what do you think of Amarius Mims? Because he was a big guy that they drafted for the right tackle line. Like a lot of people,
I don't know anything. I don't
like,
know anything.
Huge. He's the biggest man
Yeah.
you'll ever see.
That's
So
awesome.
he was the Bengals' their first pick of the draft in the first.
Yes, yeah. I knew they drafted him. I just haven't watched any film.
Yeah,
But
polarizing.
that's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
exciting. And another big guy to protect Joe, right?
Yep. Yeah, he'll be
So,
great. So I imagine maybe that's why they brought in Trent Brown from New England. I know we've already talked about the offensive,
imagine.
but he'll probably learn behind him for a little bit. So yeah, good looking team.
Great looking team.
It's almost like they've got a lot of really good names. Now we just need to see them all play well together at the same time.
Yeah.
Is my view. Because they were
they got to play together at the same time. The injuries have been just awful.
Yes, that's true.
It's been a couple seasons of just a shit show for Cincinnati, and they just can't get it together. But when the team is all locked in together, like they had a couple games last year where a lot of the players were there, and it was electric.
Yeah,
but it's tough to get a rhythm when you're halfway through the season and you got guys coming in and out. Like it's very tough to get into a rhythm. You got to stay healthy. That's one of the big things in the NFL. It's like you want success. You got to be lucky and have health on your side.
Yeah.
So it's really going to come down to the health of this team. If the team can stay healthy, the sky's the limit. Like if they can stay healthy, they're a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
But if they can't, it could go the exact opposite. Like it could crumble real quick. So I don't think the depth is there to sustain the type of injuries that they've been having.
Right. And that's really what it's going to come down to. So over under win total is 10.5.
That's what I was saying. It's like they strike me like an 11-12 win team.
Yes. I
I would
like the
take it,
over,
but
but it's a tough
me
division.
too, me too. It's not so much the division. It's just like it's honestly Joe Burrow. Like
Yeah.
I know that Joe will get this figured out over his career. Do do I know that it's this year that he gets it all figured out? You know, that the injuries stay away from him. They're so fresh too. I don't man, I want to say over. You know, my gut says over
Yeah.
that the Bengals are going to have a great year
Yep.
and they're going to smash that over by a couple wins,
Yep.
but I still don't think I can take it.
Yeah. I think I probably could. Their toughest matchups, in my view, I mean, again, tough division.
Mhm.
KC will be like, they always play each other hard.
Yo, they do.
They play
Very.
Philly. Philly's going to be a bit of a wild card. They could either be very good still, or they could be very bad. They
Mhm.
play Dallas as well. Be interesting to see how they turn out. They do play,
That's going to be a wild game.
yeah, they play Denver as well later in the season. I wonder how Denver's going to track too. So a couple of very winnable games, but yeah, just being in the same division as Cleveland and Baltimore and the Steelers, it just makes it
Mhm.
so much tougher.
It really does. I'm trying to go look to see what Chase Brown's line
Yeah, you're having
is.
a look at a couple of different lines. There's a few that I wouldn't mind. Joe Burrow. I wonder what his passing line is, because I think that the sharp bet would be taking the under, because you need to factor in that he probably will be injured at some point.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. But yeah. By the way, Chase Brown is 276 on the receiving yards.
A
That's
lot.
it's a lot. They I think they're seeing what I see too. They 629 on the rushing yards.
Right.
That's not a lot of rushing yards.
That's not a lot. Interesting.
I
Okay.
think I take them over 629 on the rushing yards.
Interesting. What is Jermaine
Well, that's
Burton's line?
Burton's.
Yeah.
I just had saw it.
Because I'm trying to
Um,
think, like, I wonder if it would be good to get the over now before they trade T Hig. There's also a chance
yeah,
that, I mean, Higgins could get traded in the first half of the season as
they've
well.
got him at 556.
Yes, because he's also a burner. You got to remember, like, there's times when he was at Alabama playing with Jalen Milroe where he's just taking the top off the defense, and now he's going from
Mhm.
Jalen Milroe to
Joe
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow. Like, I'm into it. I'm into it.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I'm into it.
almost
That's
a
that's
bet on
actually a
looking.
decent line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just because it's my team, I'll take the two. I'll take over 627, whatever that was for Chase
Yep.
Brown on the over rushing, and then I'll take the over 556 for the Jermaine Burton
Yeah.
receiving.
Yep.
He's Jermaine Burton's a starter from day one.
Yep. That's how I feel.
Tyler Boyd finished with over 500 every single year he was there.
Yep. Yep.
He's taking
I
that
think
spot.
Jamar Chase will probably miss a couple of games as well. He usually does.
Mhm.
So, yeah, like I said, love this team. Very bullish on them. Jamar Chase, my number one fantasy receiver. Love Joe Burrow as well. So, a lot of good things. But there is a team that I am interested
Oh my
in
God, the
getting
Super Bowl
a
ticket.
Super Bowl ticket. I know you were saying that the Bengals have to beat out the Ravens to finish first in the division. I think there's actually a better team than both of them.
I can't believe you right now. I can't
Let's
believe we're having this conversation.
let's talk about the Cleveland Browns.
Just tell me what you like about them. I just want to know. I don't even care what you don't like. I just want to hear what you like. I need to hear this
Yep.
conversation.
I think that this is the year the defense just really puts it all together. I think Myles Garrett is arguably one of the best players in the league.
You're right. You're not wrong.
I think that if we can see huge improvements from their linebackers who were okay at times,
Mhm.
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was playing way better over the second half of the season, as well as he was coming into his role. Greg Newsome is one of my favorite corners in the league as well. Grant Delpit had some fantastic plays last season in really like high impact moments, and Denzel Ward is still very good when he's healthy. I love the addition of Jerry Jeudy to go alongside Amari Cooper.
Me too, though.
I
I love
love
that.
David Njoku. And if Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson can get back to Houston, Deshaun Watson,
That's a big if, man.
that's it. But
That's a
that's what it
big if.
rides on. Then I think that there's a chance that this team goes all the way. They've got added Jameis Winston behind him. Tyler Huntley's there. So we'll see how they go. They'll probably remain on the practice squad. Dorian Thompson
Probably.
as well, flashed at times. So they added Jamari Thrash as well from Louisville at receiver. Elijah Moore was a high draft pick that they took. He was a first round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. No, he was right. That's right.
I think Cedric Tillman takes a huge step forward as well. Really loved his.
Still got David Bell there.
They've still got David Bell. So there's just so much to love about this team. Defensive line, Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett. Shelby Harris, Quentin Jefferson. They drafted like there's studs all over this team. So that's my pitch.
Okay, it's fair. The quarterback position is the thing that's really shaky.
Return.
Nick, he will return eventually. And Jerome Ford has been playing well.
Yep. Jerome Ford was a good sort of fill-in. He can't really keep it up all season though.
Great receiver though.
So going to be good for special teams, going to be good as a third down back as well.
Yep. Hey, then that's it. I think that's the 1-2, right? Jerome Ford and Nyheim Hines.
Yes, after Nick Chubb. And then they've also added Deontay Foreman.
They brought in Foreman. So now that backfield gets way too confusing. Any team that Foreman goes to, I swear to God, the guy's going to be 42 years old, and we're still going to be like, Deontay Foreman, fucking God damn it. He comes in with a game that he gets 190 rush yards, and you're like,
the
fuck? I didn't even know this guy was on the team. You know?
From a DVOA perspective, last season, Browns finished 8th, best team in the league. They were 28th offensively. That can't be right. No, it is. Okay. And then they were 2nd defensively. So
that's what I mean. It's a very polarizing, and that's the thing that concerns me obviously the most with the Browns is the defense will keep them in games. It's in order to win these games where you're playing the Bengals going full tilt, when you're playing the Ravens going full tilt, when you're playing really like they're going to have to play the Cowboys, I think, at the same time this year as well. I think if the whole division's going through that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think.
So that's the Tom Brady debut.
Oh, yeah.
On CBS. So that'll be a great game.
It's going to be a great game, right? But hell, that's a tough game to win if you're the Browns. That's a really tough game to win.
It's in Cleveland. It's still going to be summer. So I think that there's going to be good conditions. Cowboys are a bit of a wild card to see how they go defensively. They haven't made too many changes, but neither of the Browns. Deshaun Watson's lines last season, 220 was sort of where it was sitting around, and he went. The only week he didn't go over that was week 1. So I think they're going to I think he'll be throwing the ball a ton. His lines were around 31.5, and he was going over those. And obviously we saw Joe Flacco come in. So we actually didn't see much Deshaun Watson last year. And I think that now that it's the year after the year, I think he's going to be a lot better.
I mean, I hope so for Browns fans because they fucking deserve it. They deserve it.
Yeah, I think they're going to be now. Their win totals 8.5.
Yeah, I was just about to say they feel like an 8-9 team win. Like I haven't even looked, and that's what they feel like to me.
They feel like a 12-win team to me.
You're friggin' nuts, man.
Okay,
you're nuts.
Very winnable games. Washington, we've talked about. So they play the NFC East. So they play the Giants as well. They've got Vegas. They've got Jacksonville. Those are some very winnable games. Denver, they'll match up well against. I think they do have to play Miami and Kansas City.
Yeah, they're going to get scorched.
And then their conference alternative is the Saints. So, I mean, there's so many winnable games here. They play the Chargers. They're going to smash them.
Maybe. That's going to be such a low-scoring game. That's going to be so boring to watch.
Yeah, I love the tandem of Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku. I mean, they sent Denver like a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick for Jerry Jeudy. That's
for Jeudy. Oh my, like that. They stole him.
Yeah, and I still think he's a great player. He was amazing in college. That's the year that they all came in. It was Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
Jeudy was my number 1 receiver from that class. Now,
I agree. I had him rated super high.
Yeah. He was insane.
And
Alabama.
For whatever reason, couldn't get it going.
Actually, I shouldn't say CeeDee Lamb was my receiver one. But then, I mean, Jerry Jeudy was right there with him.
Was Waddle in that class?
No, he was in the Chase
Right.
class.
Right.
Who was that? That was Chase, Waddle. Who's the other big name? There was Elijah Moore and shoot, I'm forgetting. Oh, it'll come to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's studs everywhere. I think so. David Njoku has some interesting stats as well. So his line was sitting, he had 5.5 receptions last season. He went over that every single week in the back half of the season. So he was getting at least 6. So obviously Joe loved throwing to the tight end. Through the season, it was 3.5. There was only one time he didn't go over that. Like he was just playing.
He ran like a horse too. Like when he caught that ball, the yards after contact was like he ran hard. It was great to watch him like excel finally, right? Like finally to see him break through. And Deshaun Watson has been known to elevate the tight ends around him, right? Like when he was in Houston, he had nobody. He had Akins.
He had Jordan Akins, who was good for fantasy from memory.
Yeah, it was half decent. He didn't have a lot of talent, like pass catching talent, but he made the tight ends look a lot better than they were.
He had DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller.
No, for tight end.
Tight end. Sorry,
yeah. Well, I mean, Will Fuller, he was just nuking balls down the field to him,
man.
Just nuking them. Yeah, 60-yard arc bombs.
They're like, oh,
3 goddamn touchdowns.
Yeah, oh man, that game sits in my memory. Yeah, I want to do
it was 3 that game, right? Yeah, I think that was nuts.
Yeah, I want to do a study at some point this season while we're talking about it. Like, how often did every pass catcher on the team go over their receiving lines all at the same time? Because often when I'm tracking these things, you'll notice it's like, yeah, Cooper had a good game, but that came at the cost of Elijah Moore. He had an under game, or David Njoku. Like, only so there's 3.
Good to know for same game parlays, right? It would be really good to know for same game parlays.
3 games the entire season where all of Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and David Njoku went over their receiving lines. Like, I just think this is definitely like a common trend. It's the same with the Bengals. Like, usually only one receiver or 2 go over their lines in a given week. It's like not all 3 of them ever do. So yeah, I want to take a look at that.
Yeah, that'd be a great stat to pull. That'd be a very great stat to pull.
Any final thoughts on the Browns? Anything you want to say about the defense or?
No. I struggle to find anything worth taking here. For a futures pick, right? Like for a season long pick.
Yeah, I think
the only thing that I can say is that I would take the over 8.5 wins.
Oh, yeah, over 8.5. I mean, I want the Super Bowl long shot. I wonder what's Deshaun Watson's passing line.
That's a good question.
Because I suspect it might actually be lower than people think, and I think he's going to play a lot better than people think.
They have him ranked as the QB 19.
Wow.
And they have him at 3,378 yards.
Give me the over.
Bryce Young has a higher total than he does.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's crazy. There you go. That's one of my favorite bets. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, David Njoku, Cedric Tillman.
Will he end up in jail or not?
That's the thing. That's really the Achilles heel of this, isn't it?
Yeah, right? Ah, damn. Yep. Okay. And one more
that's
case.
Gonna ruin
God damn it.
So many tickets I've got on the Browns. I'm so bullish on them.
Yeah.
Just also wanted to mention they added one Thornhill from Kansas City, so I think that's a nice addition. He was good in KC.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see Jerome Ford. Where they have him. I
don't rate him. I know he's been good in a lot of good games, but sustaining that over a long period of time is not.
I just think if the Browns are winning at the start of the season, why are they going to rush back?
Well, I'll tell you what. So Nick Chubb went down week 2 or 3. And from that moment on, Jerome Ford went over his rushing line 5 times last season.
So
5.
Deontay Foreman, E5. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
not a lot. That's not a lot at
No,
all.
5 of like
Deontay
11
Foreman's
games.
Deontay Foreman's rush yardage is 302.
Bro, he might not even
And
make the team.
I'm telling you though, if he does, Deontay Foreman's good for a 200-yard game. He's done it on every single team he's ever played on. He
Yeah.
just
Yes.
one game a year. He just runs for 204 touchdowns. And then they run him and
And
he
then
gets
that's like
30,
half his
30, 30.
yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly.
half his
I think
season
he hit it.
totals in one game, but then he won't
I
come
think
again.
he No, I think he'd hit the 300 though. Um,
Okay. Week 1, they
yeah,
play
Jerome Ford, I don't know.
Dallas. That'll be the Tom Brady um, debut. Week 2, they play Jacksonville. Then they play the Giants. Then they play Vegas. Then they play Washington. Dude, if they beat Dallas, this team's going to be 6-0. They play Philly.
Yeah, no, they do have a
And if their
favorable
line is
schedule.
8.5, they only need to win another 3 games for the rest of the season. They've got the Chargers in there. They've got Denver in there. They've got Miami. We don't know what they're going to be like defensively. Fucking
Man,
over 8.5, over 3,300,
uh,
whatever Deshaun Watson's line is.
man, Jerome Ford, his rushing yard total is 488.
It's not a lot because you got to remember, like Nick Chubb, that was a really, really bad injury. Like, I think he'll take a while.
It was like they thought it was like career ending.
Yeah, it looked career ending. Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. I think
Was
if they
similar
start,
to the Jordan Travis injury, wasn't it?
I don't know.
At FSU. Man, I saw that injury live.
That
It
was
was
gruesome,
yeah,
gruesome.
yeah.
But if they win the first 4 games, Nick Chubb's not coming back for until
After the
they
bye,
start prepping him.
yeah,
Yeah, until after
yeah,
the bye week.
which is week 10.
And so that would mean that Jerome Ford,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
see the season going the way that it's going to go,
yeah,
that's pretty much 10 weeks of Jerome Ford. So if
yeah.
you that's
That
40
makes sense.
yards a game.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And his line will be about 40 yards a game as well. That's why they got it there.
He'll hit that.
I don't know. He didn't
I,
always last year. Last year he only hit that 5 times.
but then that would be
Like
assuming
11
that when Nick
opportunities.
Chubb comes back, that Jerome Ford doesn't run at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I'm not drafting Nick Chubb anywhere in fantasy this year.
No,
Like
hell
next
no.
year, sure, but nah, I need to see it first. Plus, like
Yeah.
players always are slow to come back from these really bad injuries. Like Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, I think, will be a lot better this year in Tennessee.
No, I don't think
So
so.
bad last year though, because he was
Tajay Spears is going to be the better running back there.
he was still yeah, of course, yeah. But I think Pollard will still be good. Which when we get to Tennessee,
when we get there.
So
anyway, so the Browns.
Okay. Just to finish now. So I mean, if they beat Dallas week 1, this team could be 6-0 because they play Philly as well. So wow, they play the NFC East 4 of the first 6 games. And then they're done with that division. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing it, man. Super Bowl.
You're nuts.
It's going to be my long shot ticket. I think that they'll be there because I think that it will be like if Dallas could get it together. So it's week 1 and then we see them again in the Super Bowl. Browns, Cowboys.
Yeah, you may as well parlay for them to win the division, for them to win over 8.5 games, and for them to win the Super Bowl all in one ticket, and just do a booster.
Yeah, see, I think winning
and put Deshaun on that at the same time, and you may as well just run it into a 4-banger and just
exactly. I think actually the winning the division will be the hardest of all of those things. I mean, they do need to win the division to really stand a shot at the Super Bowl, but the division is so good. It's so
it is very good. Yeah, it is very good. Yeah, okay. So you're taking the over 8.5. You're taking Deshaun Watson over 3,360 something yards.
Whatever it was. Yep. What do you like?
You're taking them to win the Super Bowl.
By long shot. Long shot.
Yeah. I'm gonna go over 8.5 wins. As much as I don't want to say it's gonna happen, it's probably gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I will take Jerome Ford over 440 yards rushing.
I can see it. I'd also take Cooper over his receiving as well. I reckon he'll be a top 10 fantasy receiver.
Can be.
Touchdowns will be a plenty. All right, before we go,
okay, rank
these teams in where they finish.
You first.
I've got Cleveland 1.
Jesus Christ.
Got the Bengals 2.
Okay.
I've got the Bears 3, and I'll take Carolina 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch the Bengals and the Browns on that. I'll take Bengals 1, Browns 2.
Say it.
Yeah, the Bears 3. Bears could come out and shock everybody, but I have a hard time seeing it. And
Yes.
Carolina, they're a year out from really seeing the rewards on the drafting and what they've done to the team over the past 2 years. They're 1 year out. I think next year is the year where we can start talking about a positive season, but there'll be signs of improvement. And Bryce Young will play some good football this year, but they're definitely last on this list.
For sure. And also, like, first-time head coach, is it Dave Canellis, who they brought in from the Bucs? The reason they brought him in was because the work he did with Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, totally.
Career, and then the same with Geno Smith in Seattle the year before that.
Yep.
So good, impressive-looking resume. This will be his toughest challenge yet. I mean, I think the Bucs are a really well-run organization. I think the Seahawks are a really well-run organization as well. And I think the Panthers
are not.
Yeah. They've got huge glaring issue at ownership. So
yeah, the guy that had a giant Panther statue just shackled and held by the owner in the front of the building. That's what they have.
Yeah.
That is a glaring issue.
They do have a very good defensive coordinator though, Ejiro Evero. So we'll see. We'll see.
You will definitely see. All right. Well, that was a great show. Another great show. Next week, we will get ahead when, John, you are in Las Vegas.
That's it. I'm going to be recording live from Las Vegas. I might actually be in California. I'll be in one of the two as well. We're going to be talking about the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Lions, and the Packers. That's going to be
a great episode. John, I look forward to it. These shows are getting me fired up for the season. I hope they're getting all of you guys fired up for the season. Let's go.